I think I'm losing my mind. Trying to stay inside.
What's up, MAXlife, and welcome to this week's MAXlife resource with a very special guest, the one, the only MAXlife coach, Jeff Taylor. Jeff is an amazing man, amazing husband. He's a father of 3, Christian, Justin, and Shayna. Coach Jeff, man, thank you so much for joining us on this resource. We're pumped to have you in MAXlife HQ in the lounge area here at MAXlife. But thank you so much for being here.
Pastor Chad, thanks for inviting me, man. I'm so happy to be here and excited to finally get to MAXlife, the world headquarters. I know all the other coaches are jealous that I'm here.
They gotta be. They gotta be jealous. Thank you for so faithfully serving in MAXlife.
Always.
Thank you for being a positive influence for me and for our families and for our students as well. I truly appreciate our friendship, and I'm glad that we can sit down and talk about this on multiple occasions.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Remember our time at Red Robin?
Yes, I do.
Where it
Yes,
was?
I do. We didn't have to do this whole 6 feet apart.
We did not, but we had good hamburgers.
Yes, we did.
And we were both in tears, and we just put it out there, and you shared openly then too, and I totally respect that. I love you to death, love your family, and thank you for all you do at MAXlife.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
To help us to keep from going mental, we're going to have to talk about everything that's going on right here in our country right now. And we're not talking about COVID-19. We're talking about racism. And we as a people should be broken over this reality in our country. And now more than ever, we all need to lean into God and pray for everyone that's hurting. Pray that God would use us to help fight against injustice and to teach us how to love and accept everyone the way that Jesus does. Now, looking at the life of Jesus and modeling the life of Jesus and living like Jesus is the only way that we can love people like Jesus does. Like he does. And students, it starts with you. It's got to start with our students. Like we talked about in our series, Only the Young, we need you to help step up and help us fight against racism. Yeah. We need you, students. The world needs you, and God expects you, students, to do this. He expects us to stand up and fight against injustice. Our fear is that our students are left alone to process everything that they hear in the news or on social media, or they overhear their parents say, or they hear their version of their friend stories about what is happening in America. All right, Coach Jeff, this is hard stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a hard process. This is tough. This is ugly and it's disgusting. But we have to talk about it because it's real and it's scary. So, Coach Jeff, we need you as a black man to speak into all of this. So, will you talk about racism in America?
So, as you said, racism is in the DNA of America. It started back when you bring slaves over to this country and you just devalue them as people. And then even though things have changed and you are allowed to be free and allowed to work and then own property, but you only can own certain property, you can only buy certain houses, you can only get certain jobs, and you just kept people low. So that has been the constant. No matter how much you grow and you have black success, you have black millionaires and even billionaires. We had a black president for 2 terms. Racism is still there because from that DNA, it's passed on generation to generation. So that's why it's still here. And as you said, now there's a spotlight on it, and people can't deny it. They can't say it doesn't exist anymore because it's still here.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, what would you say to families about talking to their students about everything that's going on? Because we have some families that would say that their students, they're too young to be exposed to all this, and we have other families that really want to talk to their students about this, but they don't know how. So, what would you advise to parents about talking to their students, and how would you advise a parent to talk about it with their students?
Well, I would definitely say you need to talk to your children about what's going on. One thing my wife and I have always done is no matter how young our children were, if they were able to witness something, we wanted to talk to them about it. And it wasn't to explain how racism started with slavery and to get that deep into this. You know your child, you know their age and their understanding, but you want to ask questions. Like I did when I sat down with Justin, and it took me a couple of days. You know, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's emotional. And that's on both sides.
Yep.
You know, from growing up in this country and dealing with what I've had to deal with, I have scars and challenges. And then on the other side, being from generation of things, and you've been around people that might be in your immediate family or your grandchildren, your grandparents that have said things and done things that you knew weren't right, and now when you bring this to your child, she's going to say, well, Pop says that all the time. So it's a difficult conversation, but you need to talk to them. What I do is I ask questions. Are you aware of what's going on? How do you feel about that? What do you think? And I just want to understand, and then I try on their level, explain to them that this is wrong and this is right. And if your child is old enough to speak and know right from wrong, then this is a conversation you need to have with them.
I could not agree more. Coach Jeff, are you scared? Because everything's going on, like it is a crazy time in our country. But are you scared?
Sadly, yes, Chad. It's scary. You would think that someone who's lived as long as I have and never been arrested, never been in trouble with the police, and work every day and pay my taxes and do all the right things, that I should be able to walk around without concern.
Wow. All right, so I've had some conversations over this week with black parents, and they tell me that they are scared. And they're telling us too that their students are scared as well. What would you say to students about their fear during this time?
I would say it's definitely understandable because of what they're witnessing.
Right.
So a student is concerned and the parents are concerned. But I would say one thing you want to do is, I truly don't believe that they're out there to go and get people, that everyone's bad and you shouldn't leave your house. These are conversations that I've had with my sons for them to understand these different things. But I also think that if you do come into a situation, you need to be aware and act accordingly so you don't become that victim in these situations.
Right. All right, so in the death of George Floyd, you can see in a video where he was killed by police officers.
Right.
The video is everywhere, and with everyone seeing this video, it gives police a very bad rap.
Yeah.
The question that our students have is, are all police officers bad?
No, they aren't. Although watching that video, you would think so. You saw 4 officers, that are hired and paid to uphold the law and protect us, and for no reason killed an unarmed, handcuffed man. And it's tragic and horrible. But all officers aren't bad, just like all doctors aren't bad if done wrong, or all pastors, or all black people, or all white people. There's these bad seeds that we have to expose. And that's what's happening here. So if you watch the news and see the videos, they are starting to show police walking side by side with protesters. There are National Guardmen that are out there just standing by and not getting involved in anything. We just want to make sure nothing happens on this side.
Right.
I got actually a good friend that's a police officer from my church back home, and he's a captain, and he had said, no one hates a bad cop more than a good cop. And I think that, to me, that just makes so much sense, that this isn't the blue line or the blue wall that you hear about. It's obvious this cop did wrong, and the other 3 as well, and no one's going to defend that.
Yep. What do you think what can we do? Because this is, like, I was talking to Meg about this the other day. Like, we see this comes in at waves at times that I see from my end of racism and marches, protests, people getting killed. It goes away, and it comes back, and it goes away. What can we do to not let it go away? Is there something that we could do as a ministry too? Because like, this is one of these topics that, like, because porn is so bad, I gotta talk about porn every time I can. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's affected by it.
Right.
Same way with this. It's got to be spoken about, especially from like my stage, every time it fits into any story, teaching, whatever, and bring it back up. I mean, that's what it has to be for me as a pastor. I believe, but I just wonder what we could do as a church, as a ministry, as parents.
Well, what we spoke about before is bringing about opportunity, putting multiple different people in front of children so they can see us working together. They can see that everything's not that way. And then also there's stories in the Bible that talk about the differences. You know, when and talk about that, and instead of just leaving it there, let's say it's just like if this group was white and this group was black.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's what you do. You bring it home, bring it here. Bring the Bible to life right here, and let's not talk about different areas. Let's say white and black, and that starts to make sense to them, because you see in our church they have white friends, black friends, everybody's there.
Yeah.
So the kids play together.
Yeah.
So now when they see that, they go, wait a minute. You know, because when I have conversations, if I'm talking to you and I'm saying, hey, that could have been me, you look at it differently.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you put my face on that man. And you're like, wait a minute. I know Jeff, he's a good guy. He doesn't do any of that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what starts to happen. You want to start putting faces. So it's not just names in the newspaper. It's just not names in social media.
Yeah.
It's a face to it. You know, and I think that makes a difference.
Blackout.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Blackout Tuesday.
Did you like that?
I did, because it was. I saw a post and I said, "Man, that makes sense." They explained it. Let's Blackout Tuesday. Let's show solidarity, and the selfies can wait.
Ooh.
That hit me.
That's awesome. Yep. All right, let's talk about protest.
Okay.
Because you watch the news or you scroll through social media, and it looks like every city and small town in the country is on fire.
Yes.
All right. Talk to us about protesting.
Okay. So, protest is just a voice, right? You want to be heard. Something's wrong. I need to explain to you that it's wrong. I need to show you how wrong it is. And you have a body of people that and it swells and grows to be heard. And the reason why it keeps getting louder and louder, people aren't being heard. Now, it does seem like the whole country's on fire if you continuously look through a telescope.
Right.
You know, if you're walking down the street and there's a house at the end of the road on fire, and you looked at it through a telescope, it looks like the whole world's on fire. But when you move away, you see it's just that one house. The rest of the neighborhood is fine. And if you are able to watch the news and see how things go, there's peaceful protests going on. You would see that little area where someone's looting and taking advantage of this situation, those are bad people. That's not what this is about. Don't let the media or the news or anyone distract you from the real problem here. It's the systematic racism that we're talking about. It's the abuse of cops. There's a whole economic oppression that's going on here. That's what we're talking about. Not some people that are taking the opportunity to go ahead and steal a car or steal laptops or something like that. I don't agree with it. I understand that people can be so mad that they want to burn down their own things. Like, we'll watch a football game and Cam will miss a pass that's wide open and you might throw your remote control and break it. But it's not what we're trying to do here. This is a bigger picture. This is something we're trying to bring about change. And that doesn't happen from destruction of property.
That's right. Talk to us about the phrase Black Lives Matters, because you and I had a conversation on the phone Monday and it was eye-opening for me.
Okay. So Black Lives Matter started because of all these different things going on, right? So you have all these people that are you have people calling on a black man because he's barbecuing, or someone who's entering his own building. They will think you belong here, and this voice starts to happen that you're less than, and then you have people being murdered by police officers and some citizens, and they stand their ground, and I felt threatened. And then you have not only the cops weren't arrested, if they are arrested, they get acquitted, and that's a challenge. So the Black Lives Matter movement starts. The challenge was people start changing the narrative. Black Lives Matter, then someone comes up with Blue Lives Matter. Now you have to pick one side or the other. That's not what it's about. All lives matter, not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's the focus on the need for black people as a whole, that our lives actually matter. Same thing with the house on fire, right? Live on a block, you down at this cul-de-sac, and your house is on fire at the end of the block. There's 7 or 8 other houses on this block. Fire truck is coming down. I stop them at the top of the cul-de-sac. Hey, where you going? Hey, we heard a house is on fire. Hey, check my house. Make sure it's not on fire. And then the next neighbor does. And by the time they get to your house, it's burnt to the ground. Your family's standing outside. Because the problem is your house is on fire. And that's what we're trying to say is Black Lives Matter. My house is on fire. my family is being threatened, and I need everyone to know that we need help. All the other houses, they do matter, but they're not on fire. And anytime someone says these other voices, it lessens the importance. You know, we all say that, you know, we need to save the tigers or save the whales. We don't say, what about the goldfish? We don't say, what about the sharks? No, we just say we gotta save the whales. That's what this is. We're trying to save an endangered species, quite honestly.
Yep.
Young black men are being killed on a regular basis. Sorry.
All right, Coach Jeff, another question for you that I want to know for myself and that our students need to have answered for them is this. What can I do as a person that isn't black? What can I do as a person that isn't black?
Well, racism exists because people allow it to exist. So I have these conversations and people say, yeah, I don't associate with people like that. And that's a good thing, but it's the same thing in the church, right? You go out and you're trying to save souls. So if I just associate, right, not to be unequally yoked, I just associate with Christians.
Yep.
I'm not doing my job.
Right.
Right? So it's the same thing. For you not to be a racist is an amazing thing. But today, I need you to be anti-racist. I need you to take action. You know, sitting in the church and spending time with the Christians doesn't grow the church.
That's right. That's
we
right.
need to go out.
That's right.
So I need you to be active, anti-racist. So I don't want you to go out there and you don't have to march or do anything crazy like that. But you have a sphere of influence.
That's right.
So it could be your social media posts or when you're on a Zoom chat and you hear something and you don't just ignore it. You speak to it. You say, hey, that's not right. And that changes things. And that's the thing. So start hiring. If you can donate your time, go to schools and encourage young black children. Sit down with them and let them know. Because the same scars that I carry at 50 years old, those are being marked on our young children. Right. That they can't do. Even though we had a black president, they still think they can't do. And you need to be there to encourage them. Just like you encourage your children. Encourage other children. We have programs that we just sit and read. And you hear the stories that these kids tell. And it's like, whoa, I can't believe he's going through that. You never think it. School is his only opportunity to see other things, you know, and it works both ways. If you're a black person and you have that opportunity, go into white communities and let them see you successful, so they don't think that every black person is in jail, every black person is being arrested. That's what we see on the media. When I was growing up and people started moving to my neighborhood from different countries, we had people come from Africa and Jamaica, West Indies, and Haiti, and they would come and we're playing, and the topic would come up, and they would tell me they're not black. And as a child, I would laugh. What are you talking about? I'm looking at you, you're black. But then as I got older, I understood. When they come to this country, they see black people being arrested. They see black people being on welfare. Black people being lazy. Everything they learn about black people in America comes from the television. So they don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. I'm not that.
Yeah.
But that's how they associate with it. So if you're a successful black person, if you have the opportunity, go into white schools and show them your success. Show them that you're not a criminal, that you're not a thug. Show them that you have a job and you do good things every day. Let them see so they can say, well, hey, Grandpa said that, but I know Mr. Jeff isn't like that. So they see a difference. That's what we can do.
I love that. I love that. Anything else you would want to add to this or tell our students about? If you, that's kind of our last question. But
I would say conversation and prayer. It's a powerful thing to have this kind of relationship, to be able to sit down and have a conversation, to know that someone's there for you. I would tell the parents to make sure their children know that they're safe. That's what I talked to Justin about just last night. I want to talk to him again before I came here to make sure that we're on the same page, that you are safe to be in this house, that there's nothing for you to worry about. I want that to really ring true for everyone, because it looks like the country is falling apart. It looks like the world is burning, but it truly isn't. It's what you're learning through the news and social media.
Right.
There's a lot of great people out here. I'm just driving through this neighborhood. I'm driving in my car and white people are waving at me. No one tried to stop me from coming here. You know, that's not what's happening. But you need to make sure your children understand that. And then you have to show that.
It's great. That is great. That is great. All right, students, talk to your parents or a trusted adult about questions that you have or emotions that you're feeling, because it's okay to feel.
Yes.
It's okay to cry over this. It's okay to be worried, and it's okay to be scared. But no live chats this Sunday, MAXlife, because we believe that families need to continue this conversation, because change starts in our hearts and in our homes. All right, so we're not going to have a Zoom boom breakout room this weekend. Coach Jeff and I are going to write the breakout questions together, and we'll be emailing those questions out, and we'll put them on MAXlife Instagram. So make sure you do this, families. Parents, get with your students to do this. Students, show up, show them how to do it, and talk about stuff and grow in unity as a family, because it honestly does. It starts in our hearts and it starts in our families. Thanks for joining us, and during our prayer, we want to give you some time to do a heart check here and really reflect and talk to God about everything that we talked about today, even right where you're at behind the screen.